Hey everybody, this is JD from We Watch Shudder. Before we get into this week's episode, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up front. This is an episode about a movie that deals with some incredibly sensitive topics. It deals with sexual abuse and sexual violence in several different ways. This is a really sensitive thing, and if those are rough issues for you, we want to make sure you're aware of that before we go any further. With that in mind, here is today's episode, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. Hi, welcome to another episode of We Watch. My name's Michelle, who's here with me.
It's JD.
It's JD. It's always JD. Hi.
Oh, man.
Oh,
here's what I love about this is this recording session is, and I guess it's all going to depend on how long this particular episode takes. But this recording session is actually coming in about a significant amount of time shorter than the first one, but has already gotten extra weird. And you should probably tell people some kind of context for anything that I just fucking said, please.
We may have messed up listeners. Hi. So we watched Shudder, but for Spooktober, we watched other things. We are releasing an episode every single day, but we did not record the episode every single day because that would kill us. So instead, we recorded these in advance. And today, for this week's episodes, we decided to drop one for Ari Aster every single day of the week and peek behind the curtain. We did do them a little bit out of order. We wanted to save this one for last, but I think we messed up because we are in a completely different mindset than we should be.
We're going to try real hard to, because, oh man, did we keep the, I am not going to say we kept the best for last, but oh shit. We kept the Ari Asterisk for last. That's for goddamn sure.
That is definitely for goddamn sure.
And we for last on this, we still gotta record our episode about Bo probably tomorrow because I gotta watch the movie.
They don't care. I promise.
Oh,
we've told them every episode.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Have we not talked about how although I don't have a legitimate professional diagnosis, I have adult friends who have received them as adults who have also made it very clear to me that there is a great respect for educated self-diagnosis of autistic tendencies in adults. You at the very least know how insanely structure-focused I am. After doing this in every episode so far this week, did you really think I wasn't going to mention it again?
2 comments. Number 1, wow, brag about your mental illness. Why don't you? Wow, we can't all be so cool as to say I'm weird for a reason. Some of us are just stuck being weird without a diagnosis.
Hey, if it helps, I've also just waiting to talk to a therapist to confirm a self-diagnosis for bipolar disorder. So, and also,
welcome to the bipolar club.
Also ADHD. So, you know, it's
the second thing,
God.
Structure focused. I have so many episodes that would prove that wrong.
You're not wrong.
Anyway, this one, let's go ahead and get into our structure.
Wrong.
I know, I never am. So we are not going to do
centering breaths here.
That's a good idea. Breathe in a circle. Breathe in a circle. That's a trick.
In with the good air, out with the jive.
Oh man, keep the jive. You might need some of that jive for this episode. Okay, so we're not doing a spoiler-free section.
We should probably not say jive anymore.
Isn't that a dance?
Well,
like from the jump and jive, then you and jump. It's a swing song. Oh, there's probably a context I don't know, and now I'm gonna get canceled. I just like swing music. I'm sorry. Okay, so fine. We are in spoiler territory now. You're not getting a spoiler-free section because, frankly, these episodes are too short and it takes us 5 minutes to get to the point. So we need to just get into it. And we're going to do that with The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. It's a movie from Ari Aster that came out in 2011. Ari Aster is a filmmaker. His first full length was Hereditary, and then he also made Midsommar, and Beau Was Afraid came out in 2023 based on the short film Beau from 2011. Before that, he was just making short films, and luckily because of the internet we have access to them, so we watched all of them this week with the exception of one or two, just because one was only 2 minutes, and come on, that's short even for us impatient people. So The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. Should I give them the story breakdown, JD?
If either one of us is going to, it's gonna have to be you, because I honestly am going to have a real rough time talking about this one. Holy shit.
Okay. Well, The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, it is about a man named Sidney Johnson who catches his son masturbating, and he does the good dad thing and told him it's normal and he shouldn't worry about it, and everybody did it. And then he has this nice moment with his son, and he leaves the room, and it turns out his son was masturbating to a picture of him. Fast forward to the adult years, and we now realize that Sidney Johnson's son has been sexually abusing him for a very, very long time. And he is the victim of this, and his wife knows it, and she's not doing anything about it. And the son is very overprotective of his father, even giving him a blowjob on his wedding. So that all happens. And then at the end, Sidney Johnson has written a whole memoir of what happened, and he gets hit by a car, and then Joan Johnson kills the son because she realizes that he has been sleeping with her husband the whole time. And then she cries for a very long time and throws away Sidney Johnson's book about what has happened. Cocoon Man, Confessions by Sidney Johnson. The end.
Yeah, this, holy shit, Ari, like, this is the Ari Aster that we know, right? This is the fucking bleak, just what the, like uncomfortable inside your skin, Ari Aster. Maybe this, honestly, that feeling of just, like, I felt like I needed to bathe for a couple of days after watching this. This is real fucking heavy stuff. With everything as it develops, and how certain things, you kind of have some suspicion, but then they're slammed right in front of your face, no pun intended if you've seen the film. And then it develops this feeling of sympathy towards the one character until you find out what is honestly, once you understand it, should have been expected and inevitable. Maybe Michelle did. I didn't stop to consider it, but that this is the first time we see Ari Aster taking a stab at generational trauma, right? And Jesus, he took a real heavy-handed stab at it. This is real bleak and real heavy, but I think really respectfully done. It's not something that I recommend just anybody go and watch. This could be incredibly triggering in a lot of ways to a variety of people, but as a portrayal of that level of generational trauma, this was I'm glad I've seen it, but I also never want to see it again. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Those are usually my favorite kinds of movies.
Yeah, this was real hard to get through.
When I originally watched all of Ari Aster's shorts after seeing Hereditary, I was surprised because I was like, wow, so many of these are dark humor, and I hadn't seen that at all in Hereditary. And I had seen Herman's Cure-All Tonic, which is slightly dark humor in a way. It's kind of quirky more than anything. I had seen Basically, which is these kind of funny monologues, and I've seen The Turtle's Head, which is clearly very funny. I had also seen Bo, which does have its funny moments and stars the guy from The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. So I had seen 4 somewhat funny short films, and then I watched The Strange Thing About the Johnsons. So when it starts and there's this whole like thing of the father catching the son masturbating, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like a funny sitcom kind of thing. And then they show that it's a picture of the dad, and I think like, oh, he's just gonna be like a little kid obsessed with his father, and this is gonna be funny, right? It's gonna get funny. It's gonna be funny now, and it completely caught me off guard. I did not know that this was not going to be a dark humor, and I was like, wow, this is dark even by my standards. And it's because it is not funny. It is, I think he did something really important for the story he was trying to tell, and that was by making it a son sexually abusing his father, because that is a less common story than the type of stories that we usually hear. And I feel like we are desensitized to a lot of it. So to put this like almost something that to us sounds so like ridiculous, like how would that even happen? You know, like, oh, your kid is doing this, but then to show him as an adult, you know, like it's a lesser known aspect of that, and I think it's going to make a lot more people feel uncomfortable and feel dirty, even though it's not really a different story than what those other stories are. Somehow by putting this new perspective on it, it has made it fresh and even worse, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and please do like clarify for me, make sure I understood here. Part of the Cocoon Man confessions that the father writes up are him confessing to abusing the son first. Is that not what happened here?
Oh, I did not catch that, if that was the case.
The impression I got from this is that this is something that the father initiated at a time when the son was much younger, and now it's become a situation with the roles reversed. I could swear, because I've only seen it the one time, and I haven't been able to bring myself to go back and watch it again, and I may have to. I'm so certain there's a moment where, and I don't even remember what the words were, but there's a line in there somewhere that the son says that very much gave me the impression that this started in the other direction and then stopped. But that is what ultimately is the backstory to why he's masturbating over the picture of his father in the first place, and how that turned around, and how there's this generational sort of spread of that situation. I don't know. I don't remember anything talking about where the father would have had originated his behavior, but man, now I may
Hang on, let me
have
respond to that then, because
go ahead.
None of that is what I remember from this story. I don't recall anything about this being started by the father, and I think that's why it, to me, is so much sadder too, that nobody is going to believe this man. He's so helpless and gentle, and his wife knows and does nothing. I don't recall anything saying that he started this situation. It's just a gross, ugly thing that has been happening to him. And then that's why when the mom confronts her son, because it's definitely a confrontation. She says, "Why was your father crying after driving you home from prom?" I think that's when the first incident happened of the father being abused, and she has known.
I agree.
The whole
I agree
time.
with that.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. That's the first time.
But you think it was reversed before that?
Right. Well, what I think is that when this movie begins, anything that did happen is already long in the past. Like, this is something that the father did to the son when the son was very, very young, and planted that seed that once the son reached the age of when he's going to be masturbating, that seed then was there, and then ultimately it came back around. Michelle, I want to propose something to you on the fly here while we're recording this, because this actually becomes a real interesting. One of us clearly is going to be correct here, and one is not. And I want to be. I don't want to watch this again, but I feel like we should both pause our recording right here. We should take some time to go and watch this again and come back and finish this discussion when we've had a chance to do that. How would you feel about that?
I'm totally fine. Reconvene in a half hour?
Let's do it. I'm going to throw it on right now. We're going to pause the recording. We're going to both go back and watch the film again, and we're going to come back and continue this discussion. This is fucking awesome.
That I am right, because this hits so much harder if I am.
Yeah, it's we can talk about that too, but
we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm hitting the pause button right about now.
Okay, we're back. Can I go first?
Go ahead.
Sweet. Okay. I definitely for sure have an answer, because I took the time to go and find what Ari Aster has to say about it. But I do see what you mean about there being a portion in the manuscript, and I screenshotted it, and says, "What might I have done? Sent him to his room, grounded him. To condemn my son, I must first condemn myself. And of the crimes perpetrated against my body, we are both guilty." Now,
that's part of it, yeah.
Yep, that at least is part of it, where you think that he might be guilty. And I didn't think this was him saying that he has sexually abused his son in the past. I thought of this as a lot of sexual abuse victims do, where they blame themselves and say, "What did I do to deserve this?"
Okay, so that's the first one. In the sequence where Sydney is coming down the stairs with the other copy of the manuscript, or when Isaiah rather is coming down, and or which one is the father? Is it Sydney or Isaiah?
Isaiah's the son, Sydney is the father. Yeah. Sydney is coming down the stairs.
So and I did pay. There was this. I knew there was a very specific quote, and there's actually a couple of things I want to talk about here. There's a lot of stuff in that confrontation that Isaiah says that can easily have been standard victim gaslighting things he says, like, but what about the things that you did? If I've done anything, you did it with me, that sort of thing. But there is a very specific line in there, and the line that Isaiah says is, "I didn't ask for this. This is your thing, something you started."
I interpreted that as when his father was openly talking to him about masturbation because he thought he was being a good dad. That is where we pick up on the story, and that is where I think this begins.
Okay, so my question to you then is, why is the son masturbating to the photo of his father in the first place?
I don't know if anything needs to start someone having a terrible sexual attraction to a person that they should not. I wouldn't say that it means that person that they are sexually attracted to had to do something to cause that, because that would be a dangerous road.
No. And then there's also a moment when Isaiah is having the confrontation with his mom, where she starts out by asking him what happened the night that they were coming home from prom, like you mentioned. But there's also a moment in there where at one point she says, "It started earlier, I know that," but something about the way she delivers that line, and I would guess it was probably in the light of already being under the impression, just from the way I interpreted some of those lines, that this was sort of a generational transference sort of situation. I really got the impression that what she was saying there is like, I know this didn't start with you. And so again, I might have been pushing that conclusion based on other things I'd already read into some of the dialogue. But so you actually did the extra research. Tell me what you found out is supposed to be going on here.
Yep, here is the direct quote now that we have debated it. "In a lot of ways, the film serves as a nightmarish cautionary tale on liberal parenting, a sort of worst-case scenario for a father who's granted his son too much freedom and respect. But there's also the suggestion of culpability on the father's part, so the film skips a lot of the causes and focuses primarily on the effects of an insidious inverted dynamic."
So he doesn't say anything.
I think he says a lot where it doesn't matter how this started. This is what we're focusing on.
Right, but he says things about like inverted dynamics, and that means that, like, to me, that phrase suggests this dynamic existed in one direction before, but now we're focusing on the inverted version. You know,
I would say it commonly, unfortunately, is a parent-to-child relationship or an adult-to-a-child relationship, and the inverted dynamic is a child to an adult.
I don't know. I'm still not 100% convinced. Just even again, I'm sure this is fed by the impressions that we both took from the film, and the man is very clever in the way he makes these responses. Read that quote to me again.
Yes. In a lot of ways, the film serves as a nightmarish cautionary tale on liberal parenting, a sort of worst-case scenario for a father who's granted his son too much freedom and respect. But there's also the suggestion of culpability on the father's part, so the film skips a lot of the causes, and focuses primarily on the effects of insidious inverted dynamic.
Right. The film skips a lot of the causes.
Yep.
And to me, I don't know. I still read this in such a way as they're like obviously the primary focus here is the son abusing the father. But I still have a very strong impression that there might have been something previously going on here that fed into this. There's something about, and I don't disagree with you in your outlook on it, but there is something about the simple fact of that opening situation. There's a whole lot of deviance springs from other deviance in a lot of ways. I don't know if deviance is the word that I want to use here, but I think people understand what I'm saying. A lot of these things, hurt people, and so on and so on. And I don't know, I reflexively, in a lot of cases, anytime I see a story about some sort of child-involved sexual impropriety, I immediately lean toward, okay, well, what happened to that led to this? What's the previous link in the chain, and so on. But I think it's.
I have a second quote for you then.
Oh God.
The reason he made this film, we were talking about topics that are too taboo to be explored, and so we arrived at taboos that weren't even taboos because they were so unfathomable, and the most popular was that of a son molesting his father. That should never be made into a film, so it began on that level, but from there it evolved into something very different. It's the whole fact that this is unfathomable that it exists.
No, that was the again. I think you're reading too much into that quote. He says that's the idea that it started from, and it became so much more. I could very much see this starting from that position and developing into the possibility of this being, sort of a more generational or layered situation than we may even understand. I don't think there's anything in that. And again, I'm not saying either one of us is right or wrong at this point.
Can I tell you my final thoughts on it, at least, before you tell me whether I'm right or wrong?
No.
Because here's what I'm trying to say is that I see the ambiguity now of what is the history. I have seen this multiple times and had never picked up on that. To me, it was always a sexual abuse victim questioning what did they do to deserve this. And it was important that was put in here. Like the speech that Isaiah gives is word for word something that a boyfriend could be saying to their girlfriend in a different movie. What I will say and what I am positive of is that I wish there was no ambiguity and that this was specifically no questions asked, this ridiculous dynamic that is completely unheard of, because I think that's why it works so well for me, is that it is so shocking and upsetting because it's something that we don't see very often.
Oh no, I definitely agree.
That
I do agree with you that, like I said, I feel like this is even above and beyond, what we've seen in Hereditary and Midsommar, and still have to see Beau is Afraid. This is far and away, regardless of which interpretation is correct, the absolute just fucking bleakest thing he has ever done. We started this whole thing talking about how I didn't want to have to watch it again, and then I ended up having to watch it again.
You're like, hey, you want to watch it again? Let's go do that.
It's so. There is one interesting thing that I had sort of put aside with all the larger discussion, but something that I do want to point out that I find very interesting is a lot of the horror moments in this are done in a very arch, like 1980s sort of horror thing, like when Sydney runs out of the house and Isaiah comes charging out the doorway. They have that crazy like zoom in shot where he gets the shocked look on his face, or when he kicks through the door in the bathroom, there's that weird zoom. Like, they do a lot of very arch things.
I have a third interview segment for you.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Do it. Bring it on.
I didn't bring the actual quote this time, but in that same interview, he was asked whether it was a dark comedy or a drama, and he said, why not both? He's like, there are those very comedic moments. And I think this is why, after watching his other things and then seeing this, I was like, oh, this is going to be a weird, quirky thing. Ha, ha, ha. And it's like his scream that he does when he's in the bathtub is so like overly dramatic, and his son screaming like beside his dead body is so dramatic.
Also, yeah, it's that initial encounter, but then through the simple act of switching the perspective to the mother in her bedroom and hearing it quietly through the walls, just makes your fucking skin crawl. This is, but again, this is a movie that I feel does the very rare thing of being able to go to like one of the most insidious, disgusting, dark places you've ever been, and do it in such a way that it doesn't feel exploitational, right? It feels like we're gonna do this, but we're going to be as respectful of the subject matter as we can. I think about the people involved in making this and like what kind of effects it might have had on them in the short term and maybe even the long term. Just even having to go to those places, man, this is heavy shit.
The son Isaiah is a friend of his who helped him create it and then played that role.
Right on. Yeah, this is a real. I don't recommend that everybody watch it. If in fact, I am going to put a stern content warning on this particular episode before it goes up, and we'll put it in the description as well. If I didn't, hold me accountable, please. But this, I think, almost more than anything we've talked about on this show, is just so heavy and so intense. I don't want to watch it a third time. Let's put it that way.
But despite that, despite how much we did not enjoy it, are we both giving it a 5?
Oh, absolutely. This to me is, because there are a lot of people who make movies where their goal obviously is to make you uncomfortable. We've talked about things like a Serbian film before and that sort of thing. And there is this philosophy that there are people who are like, you're not supposed to like the film. If you enjoyed anything about your experience of it, it's not genuine horror. And I think I've made it clear over several different episodes that I'm not that person. I think there does need to be some sort of something. I don't want to even call it a redeeming value, but this is a thing that I don't ever want to see it again, but it is an incredible examination of this sort of thing, and if you are able to see it, it's almost perfect. It's really, really good.
Yeah. I have to go to sleep very soon. I'm going to have nightmares, and not like the kind that you would normally expect me to have with
and you were,
the kind of content I can stand.
And frankly, I was too worried at the start of this that we were not going to be able to settle down the silliness, and but oh man, that one particular issue. Now I want to talk to, like, if I ever get the chance to ask Ari Aster one question, that's going to be my direct, flat-out question, is, were you deliberately trying to imply something more layered here with a generational context, or is it strictly just one-directional abuse? And see if he gives me a straight answer or dances around it in ways that will, because look at this, I have to believe both of those quotes you read are designed to do exactly what they did, is make us both feel like they support what we said, right? Or that they don't necessarily contradict what we said. This is something. This makes me, weirdly enough, even more so than the Bo short that we're going to talk about tomorrow. This has made me excited to see that, because this has reminded me the most of the places Ari Aster can take you, and I'm super excited to see the feature tomorrow.
I take offense to one thing you said.
What's that?
And it is that I knew from the start I would be able to get us out of that silly mode, because I know for a fact I have an uncanny ability to take the humor out of absolutely anything.
If you need to kill a room dead, call Michelle. She'll take care of everything for you.
I'm really good at everybody laughing, then immediately stopping and being like, Michelle, are you okay? Or like, what did you say?
Michelle will just walk into the room and be like, so you guys want to spend an hour talking about child abuse movies? And just
when I went on a 22-hour road trip to Albuquerque, I did explain how the Human Centipede trilogy is completely underrated to my friend who has never seen a single movie.
I mean, you're wrong about that.
For a long time. No, I'm definitely not. I will defend Human Centipede until I die. Until I die.
I mean, we've all got our foibles. It's fine.
I want Ari Aster to make the fourth one.
I want to see. God damn it, yeah. Michelle. Yes. Now I want to see Ari Aster's The Human Centipede.
I know, right?
If it could be a body horror comedy, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. No, exactly. I'm gonna write him.
Love about
be
this,
like, hey.
Yeah. What I love about this is I just did the math real quick, and even on this episode, we have gone longer than the short itself.
Oh, good job, us.
Hey, this had a lot of good stuff to talk about. Not good. That's not the way I want to say it. God damn it, you guys.
I want to unpack that one, JD.
You guys know what I meant. But yeah, big ups to Ari Aster. We got one more to talk about tomorrow. It's the horror short Beau, which I think actually is the shortest of the shorts that we watched for this week. But is also the big long feature movie now, and I'm looking forward to talking about that and wrapping up Ari Aster week. A little bit of sneak preview, Michelle. What is next week's theme? Do you remember?
It is essentially fan-made.
Fan films, yeah. Fan-made
properties.
franchise films, yeah. You know, like.
Yeah.
Like we got a Friday the 13th fan film and a Halloween fan film. We got a whole variety of stuff coming up next week. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I just want to finally talk to you about Beau is Afraid.
Yeah, that's going to be a good time.
So
that
long.
might end up being like an hour-long episode just because we'll probably, I mean, who knows? We're going to see where it goes.
It's going to be longer because I'm going to be like, here's my interpretation of the film. And you're going to be like, what? No, we have to go watch the whole film. I'm going to be like, okay, I'll do it. I came back with screenshots.
Hey, I feel like
interviews.
I feel like this was a beautiful organic moment in the history of our podcast where we had...
Except it was scripted. The whole thing
issue
scripted.
That was... Stop it, Michelle. It was not.
I know. Okay, continue.
No, that was a lot of fun. So it was. I mean,
I was gonna say.
I gotta. It's. We should probably wrap this one up. Yeah, we. To be fair, this session did end up being a longer recording session than the first one, but we also took like an extra 40 minutes because I had to rewatch the movie and also walk the goddamn dog. Who has been... Look, let's take it back to silly and ridiculous before we wrap this up. This dog, I don't know what the fuck he ate, but he has been death farting just the most rancid, obnoxious gas directly into my face every opportunity he gets for the last 2 days, and I'm goddamn sick of it, Michelle.
I love dogs. I just played a new board game. It's called Dog Park, and I need to recommend it to everybody.
You said
Your
we were going to say it's
job
called
is that
Dog
you were
Farts.
Oh no, it is called Dog Park, and I just need everybody to know I got it for my birthday. And you are a dog walker, and you're selecting which dogs you want to take on walks, and you're giving them treats and toys, and then you're trying to be a better dog walker than all the other dog walkers, and you're just collecting dogs. So, anyway, say good night,
like
JD.
A good time. Oh, good night, JD. We Watch Shudder is a production of Rat Factory Media, your home for all of today's Rat Factoryist podcasts. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests of We Watch Shudder are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Rat Factory Media. But wait, aren't Rat Factory Media and We Watch Shudder the same people? Shut your cake hole, Charlie. Nobody asked you. We Watch Shudder is available free on all major podcast platforms, and the easiest way to support We Watch Shudder is also free. Just leave a rating and review on your platform of choice. Merge your consciousness with ours on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We're at We Watch Shudder on all those social media platforms. Or find us the old-fashioned way, on the web at WeWatchShudder.com or by email at mail@WeWatchShudder.com. Heck, you can even leave us a voicemail at 701-566-9510. No, seriously, 701-566-9510. Try it if you dare.